one thing I think is very important for a team to be successful, how one establishes the trust in the team, especially in this
Yeah.
remote environment. Establishing trust can be very
No,
tricky.
no, it's true, right? Like, and I think number one, you've got to have some core principles. And for me, for our teams, trust was one of those core fundamental principles to the team, and it was built up by many other principles. I mean, you mentioned transparency, right? Like, if you're always in transparency is very different than honesty, right? Like, if somebody is just honest with you, that they could be withholding information, they're still honest with you, right? They just, as long as they're not telling a lie, and they're not telling you about all this other stuff, they're still honest, right? And so
Right.
that's, I think, transparency is a very different thing. Transparency is like, I'm putting all the cards on the table, I'm trusting you as an adult. I'm giving you all the information. I'm giving you all the dashboards. You could see the financials. You could see everything. You could see our plans for the next year. You could see how many we're gonna hire. You could see our roadmap. You could see all this stuff, right? I'm trusting you not to like leak it. I'm trusting you not to do all these things. And it also comes down to, like, it's like a two-way street, right? Like, you place a lot of trust in people, and then you see how they react, and you see what they do, and you see how transparent you can be, and all those other things. But I think it's like fundamental. You got to have these core sort of principles, if that makes sense. And I think there's other things too, right? Like I mentioned, I touched on fairness a little bit, but like, people seeing that you're fair and consistent, that leads to a ton of trust, right? Like, for example, if we were hiring a junior engineer right out of college, we would put out the same kind of offer. Let's say it was the E2 offer, or every company has different titles, but we were consistent with those offers. Because why? They have no experience, right? So they come in, you get two candidates. One is stellar on the whiteboard, another one does okay. And so, but to us, it's either a yes or no. There's no like, oh, he did so good, so we're going to give him an E3. That just destroys trust. Like, why would I trust this team now that they just hired somebody right next to me that is a higher level than me, and basically, they're making more money than me, and we have the same experience. We just got out of college, right? So there's little things like that
True.
that leaders do all the time, because they see something, and it's like a shiny object, and they really want it, and then boom, you created this inconsistency, you created this imbalance, you created this like lack of trust in the team. So it's like, if you run it with these core principles, then you kind of avoid those things happening at all. And I think that's like so important, basically. And I know, I mean, like, it sounds cliche, but like, if you live that stuff and if you do it, there's nothing cliche about it. People know you mean it, like, and I think
True.
that's the key, basically, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Louis, I have a
Sure.
two-part
Sure.
question again. This question is, first part is, when you are starting your career,
Yeah.
you are a dev and you are doing well. So, what all things they can do to get promoted to next level, become a dev lead, which is I calling M1, like managers or developers. And the second part is what they should do or unlearn to become M2, where they are managers of managers. So first part is from dev to dev lead, and then from dev lead to dev manager.